I'm going to go to the back because I haven't done that. Go ahead, Gavin.
Thanks, Corinne. On the 58th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March, also known as Bloody Sunday, we know the President Biden will be in Selma on Sunday to give remarks. Last year, Vice President Harris gave remarks and traveled. Why was it important for the President to vote this year? And is there anything you can preview about his speech, whether he'll talk about voting rights or even an issue that's important to the black community, which is the censoring?
And some taxpayers will get a check mailed to them instead. The refund is separate from any money Indiana residents may have received after filing their individual state income tax return. Folks, it is finally happening. President Biden is ready for more stimulus checks to be sent out, and I definitely agree that he could do a better job in helping out the American people with more stimulus payments. If you think that President Biden should send out more stimulus checks this year in 2022, tell me in the comments. Some of the 330,000 Massachusetts residents should expect to receive $500 payments in June. The administration announced that the second round of the Crisis Essential Premium Pay Program is about to begin. The amounts to $165 million, funded through federal crisis relief dollars. Checks will be mailed automatically to eligible Massachusetts residents. In the first round of the program in March, distributed $500 checks to about 480,000 people. Officials said that people who received those payments are not eligible for this latest stimulus funding. Also not eligible are those who received unemployment benefits in 2021 or a crisis relief linked payment from the Massachusetts state government as their employer. The Baker administration will gauge eligibility for the program's second based on 2021 tax returns. The criteria encompasses individuals who earned at least $13,500. And according to state officials, that equates to a maximum income threshold for a single filer of $38,000. The maximum threshold is $52,000 for a household of two. Now, the program's website states that payments are not subject to state income tax, but they may be to federal income tax. There are also about 300,000 lower and middle income families in Connecticut stated to receive $250 per child tax rebate this summer. The rebates are part of the $660 million in tax relief included in a state budget that the governor recently signed into law and is touting as part of his re-election campaign. The governor said during a press conference, "I'm going to do everything I can to make Connecticut the most family-friendly state in the country." Republicans are equating the checks, which are expected to go out in late August, with the income tax rebates that the governor gave out in 1998, which Democrats criticized at the time as election year handouts. In recent years, Democrats led by representatives have tried to establish a new child tax credit in Connecticut, but the effort has so far failed. Connecticut is among nearly 3 dozen states that are seizing on flush budget coffers to provide tax relief to their residents, to ease the burden of record-high inflation. Republicans have said that the relief doesn't go far enough, while Democrats are pointing to federal rules that limit the amount of tax cuts that states, which use the crisis relief money to balance their budgets, can provide. The U.S. economy is far better shape than it was at the onset of the crisis 2 years ago. GDP growth is up significantly, and many workers, especially lower earners, have seen a boost in wages, though the effect of this has been tempered by recent inflation. 2 years ago, the new crisis and ensuing economic effects created much more uncertainty in the economy, with spiking unemployment and entire sectors of the economy shutting down. In response, the federal government stepped in with unprecedented levels of financial relief to U.S. households and the economy, and that was in 3 major stimulus packages. One of the signature components of Congress's economic relief effort was a series of stimulus payments made to U.S. households. U.S. Census Survey data from July 2020 said the payments were significant. Now, payments are starting to get sent out this week to many low-income households. Checks worth of the $450 have officially been approved by state officials. And other lawmakers, everybody, are now considering a more targeted stimulus package that would actually provide more checks to a smaller group of people. And folks, for the past 6 months last year, parents across the country received monthly checks. They expanded the child tax credit, under which parents got up to $300 per kid. Lasted from July to December 2021. This program helped keep millions of people out of poverty, touching 35 million families and helping many people. It paused in December, though, after Republicans in Senate Democrat mansion prevented Congress from making checks permanent, or simply just extending them for 1 more year. Some states are trying to step up where Congress failed. In Vermont, a Republican governor and a Democratic state legislature signed off on a $1,000 child tax credit for every child ages 5 and under to households earning $125,000 and below. The state's Republican governor had initially proposed a wider suite of tax cuts. In a statement, Governor Scott said his proposals would have helped a broader cross-section of taxpayers, but that this bill is a step in the right direction. The program is expected to cost $32 million and benefit over 30,000 children in the state. With this new bill, Vermont is picking up where the federal government left off. The expanded child tax credit lapsed in December 2021 due to resistance from Republicans in Manchin, a centrist Democrat from West Virginia. Now, amid negotiations over the Build Back Better plan, Manchin raised concerns over the program. He said that checks should come with a work requirement, which would cut the lowest earning families out from relief. The expanded child tax credit program cut child poverty by roughly a third, according to research from the Center on Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia University. In just its first month, the program helped feed 2 million people and kept 3 million people out of poverty. Now, these gains, everybody, were largely erased only a month after the initiative expired in December. So folks, if you're at the age to receive Social Security benefits, it is likely that you are not getting the overall maximum monthly payment of around $4,200. To do so would actually require you to have worked 35 years, earning the maximum wage subject to Social Security withholding tax every single year, and delay retirement until age 70. According to Yahoo News, the average monthly Social Security payment check is up to $1,700, and that's $2,600 less than the $4,200 benefit ceiling. Your maximum possible 2022 Social Security benefit is dependent upon when you begin. Companies will owe a per barrel tax equal to 50% of the difference between the current price of a barrel of oil and the pre-crisis average price per barrel between 2015 and 2019. Khanna said it would impact companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron, but smaller oil companies would be exempt. He estimates that at $120 per barrel of oil, it will result in a single filer getting $240 per year and joint filers receiving $360. And according to an agency watchdog, the average backlog of tax returns has swelled over the past year, despite efforts to clean the pile up. The Taxpayer Advocate Service shared in its mid-year report to Congress that there were 20 million unprocessed paper returns as of May 31st, up from 20 million the year prior.
For your service and for being here today. Speaking of horrible statistics, this country is 38th out of 41 industrialized countries in the world in terms of the scale of our childhood poverty. The poorest people living in the United States are our children, and for one brief shining moment, for 6 months, thanks to your efforts and the efforts of your employees at Treasury, we expanded the child tax credit based on the bill that I wrote with Senator Brown, cut childhood poverty in this country almost in half, benefited 90% of the kids in this country, reduced hunger in the United States by 25%. It's hard to think of anything, Mr. Chairman, that we've done here in generations that has made more of a difference for working families. And